Hello, everyone, and welcome to Activity 1-2 or Lesson 1-2, page 7, number 2. Okay, so we're still on page 7. Here they want us to compare and contrast each pair of angles. In this case, it's kind of weird that they're using the word pair because actually, there's three angles here. But this is kind of part of being successful in geometry is understanding there's three angles here. When we look at this, we kind of think of, two angles. I see angle 1 and angle 2. And that is true that there are those two angles. Right here we have angle 1. Right, is this blue angle here. And here we have angle 2. But when you look at this stuff, as we start doing more difficult problems in geometry, we also have angle that's not named here, unfortunately, but this straight angle, right? The combination of angle 1 and 2 is also an angle, and that would make a straight angle that's 180 degrees. So you need to be able to kind of see these differences in the angles, even though they might not be as obvious, even with the book asking for the pair of angles when there's actually three of them. But that's just something to think about. So in this case, we'll just look at 1 and 2. In this case, angle 1 is acute. Angle 2 is obtuse. So that's something that we can kind of take a look at. They are adjacent angles because they share a side and a vertex. Right here they share this middle ray as a side and the vertex where it connects to the other line here. So there are adjacent angles. They are also supplementary and a linear pair. So they are supplementary because they add to 180 degrees. Right, so add to 180 degrees, and we could see that because they make a straight line. That's kind of what you're looking for supplementary angles. You're looking for two angles that make one straight line. Here we could see the blue angle and the red angle kind of combine together to make one 180 degree angle. So that's something to look out for. And they are also a linear pair because they're supplementary and adjacent. So linear pair basically means supplementary and adjacent. So in this case, a little more specific than being supplementary is that they are a linear pair. All right, so let's take a look at B. Again, book mistake. It's not a pair of angles, right? There are three angles here. There are going to be a lot of book mistakes, unfortunately. Here we have one angle, would be kind of this portion of it. Here we have another angle. And then, you can take a look at the whole thing as being an angle, right? You always have to be on the lookout for ways that your eyes might deceive you or that the picture, leads you to having to look a little deeper into it. Here there's three angles, right? There's the blue one, the red one, which are both acute and a little smaller, right, and adjacent, and they combine to make the big one, which is a right angle, right? So here we had the blue one, which is, ADB, which is acute. My C and U became one letter there, which is acute. We also have angle BDC, which is acute. And remember, you can reverse the order of those letters, B, D, A for the blue one, and C, D, B for the red one. They're both acute. These are also adjacent because, again, they're right next to each other. They share a common side and a vertex. And then combined, they make the third angle, which is ADC. Right, and that is a right angle. We know it's a right angle because it has that little box in the corner that tells us 90 degrees. Now, because the blue angle ADB and the red angle BDC are adding up to 100 or 90 degrees, that would make them complementary. So complementary because they add to 90 degrees, right? We can see that when I take the blue one and the red one together, they make that purple one, which is a right angle, which is 90 degrees. So therefore, that makes them complementary, right? Complementary angles are two angles that add up to 90 degrees. They don't need to be adjacent to do this. They could be nowhere near each other as long as they add to 90. All right, so let's take a look. Here, these are both acute. They are not adjacent, but they're still complementary. Right? These are both acute and complementary. They're both less than 90 degrees and more than 0. And also, 60 plus 30 is 90 degrees. So since they add to 90 degrees together, they're complementary. Right? And down here, we have two angles. We have one that's acute, one that's obtuse, right? One that's in between 90 and 180, and the other one that is in between 0 and 90. And then these are also supplementary, right? They are supplementary because 30 plus 150 equals 180. What it is not, though, however, is not a linear pair, right? Even though they add to 180, they're not adjacent. So that means they're supplementary. Supplementary doesn't have to be next to each other. They just have to add to 180 anywhere, in the universe. Doesn't matter if they're right next to each other or super far away. They add to 180, they're supplementary. However, a linear pair must be adjacent. They are not adjacent. They don't share a side. They don't share a vertex. So they would not be a linear pair, but they're still supplementary.